Hey, Tony.
Hi, Coach. Hi, Coach.
By the way, next Thursday, Pat Frankhauser is going to be leading the Century Club. I've got some oral surgery. It'll be at that time.
Yes, sir.
So he knows about you, connect. So
I'll text him out though that day of just to make sure.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
I have a couple other speakers on there. I think Shanika and Austin Durrett, but I'll let him. He knows the topic and everything.
Sounds great, sir. Thank you.
Good Bible study today, wasn't it?
It was awesome, sir. It was really life-changing.
Yeah.
I feel so
And
blessed that we can do this.
all little nuances of, it's just amazing.
It is.
Primarily the same way if we humble ourselves and do the things we're supposed to do and know to do. Let me know when Andy's on.
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you.
Have you met with Jenny yet?
I meet with her on Friday, sir.
You're going to be a good friend to her.
You know what? She's a great woman, and we have a good connection.
Good.
So I'm really looking forward to it.
Good.
I think I'm going to cook for her, so this will be a good thing. Coach, Andy Young is on, sir. He's
Hi,
just
Andy.
connecting video.
Now you can probably hear me, right?
Hey, Andy.
Hey, how you doing?
One of my favorite people on this planet. How are you?
Doing great. You're one of my favorites too, for sure.
Thank you very much. How's John Addison doing?
I just talked to him yesterday. He's hiding from COVID, so he's not traveling much. Just kind of going to each one of his 3 or 4 houses and staying away from the public. So his Vero Beach haunt down there, I think 4 out of 5 bartenders were positive for COVID, so he lost that place. So he's just like, he's hunkering down now. He's done.
Yeah, I sent him a text a few weeks ago and sent me a picture of his garden, and I guess it's the one in Georgia.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
He's quite the gardener, isn't he?
Well, he's got the raised beds and everything where you can walk around in between them and weed them and tend to them. And then he's got a full-time guy that does that too. So between the 2 of them, they're pretty good.
Yeah. I'm tired of full-time guys having to work at my place.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. We're looking forward to today.
Yeah, it's fun. Always good to do anything with you, Bill.
Well, thank you. I think we're going to hit on a subject that has been unheralded, double-digit recruiting, and not talked about. It's not been encouraged, but it is huge, and it's something that people are missing in their equation. And then you're the one that obviously brought it, created it, thought about it. I remember sitting down with you. We were in some place in Maryland, and you're talking about double-digit recruiting. First, I'd never heard anyone discuss it, and it's become a staple now to all the builders. That's what happens, and that's my mindset. And so that's where we're going to create here. We got the meeting we have here is we've been doing it for years in Dallas. We did it in my office till all this happened. So we generally have maybe 100 people on it. It'll be 100 people, and sometimes outside the state, mostly in Dallas, Texas, Dallas Fort Worth. We have Jeff Huffman is generally on it. Pat Frankhauser, if you know Pat, and some other great folks.
Yeah, somebody was saying the other day, and you probably saw it, 800,000 income with 3 RVPs. And I'm like, that's not good. Frank Dillon, they talked about him making $1 million with 6, which he did. But after running 100 by 100 for 10 years in a row, now he's got 8 firsts, and which is insane after all that for 10 years. And, it went down trying to get back another 500,000. So that's why it's so critical to build RVPs. I mean, it's short-sightedness is good with the money, but long term, I mean, I had 29 firsts. You probably had more than that and paid me for 30 years without running a base.
Right.
I don't call it running a base. I think 20, 30,000 is not a base, but
yeah, that's kind of leftovers with the slop overs, right?
Exactly, that's right.
Yeah, that's what happened to Sam Shepard. He's got so much business coming in because he just had people around 10, 20 years in his base shop, and he does $30,000 every month just from old timers kind of thrown in an app every now and then.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And the money you can make now with the bonus system. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started, everybody. Close friend of mine in Primerica history, as we all know, Andy Young, senior national, all the accolades, Circle of Champions. Best friend, by the way, to Bob Turley, a close friend of Bob Turley, and is mentored by John Addison, mentored by Art Williams, mentored by Sandy Weil, right?
Well, it wasn't our fault, but yes.
And the reason I wanted Andy on this call is that Andy is the godfather of double-digit recruiting. He is the one that first even brought this on the horizon. It had never been talked about. Art never talked about it, but he didn't invent it, but he's the one that came to the conclusion that unless you're double-digit recruiting every month, things don't move. But that is a number you can take to the bank. And so, Andy, why don't you talk about that, how it came to you, how it served you, how you've seen other people use it and begin a system of it, not just as RVPs, but in their base shop below them, and how double-digit revolutionized your income and your business.
Okay, so I mean, early on, I was struggling. I did 10 recruits my whole first year, so 10 for the year. And my 12th month, I did 1 recruit by $700 in premium for my whole team. And I called my dad. Yeah, that was my whole hierarchy. One year later, after 10 recruits for a year, spreading them out nice. And called my dad and asked if between me and him we could borrow $2,000, $3,000 because that would pay my house rent that was about 3 months behind and everything that was all behind. If he would co-sign, he said, "Well, you got a degree, go get a job. If you can't make that business work, he'd come to a fast start school. I actually heard you speak, Bill, and he said the business is great. He was retired by then. And but if you can't make it work, go get a job." And I looked at a couple jobs out there and started to put together a resume because I came right out of college into A.L. Williams, so I never had a resume. So I started to work on a resume with the old typewriter, and I got so pissed off just after about the third little item. It's like I'm not doing this. So I went out and I figured I needed to find 10 to 12 people to make this thing go. And that's based on the Pareto principle, P-A-R-E-T-O. It's an old Italian thing from way back. And everybody knows the Pareto principle is 20% of the people do 80% of the work. You got a church dinner, 20% volunteer to set up the hall, cook the food, serve the food, clean up the mess. 80% have one variation or another complaining about the 20%. But if you're going to make anything go, you got to have, some 20% or so, 2 out of 10. And that's just numbers. So I figured if I got to have 2 people that could go to district this month and really get me out of this hole, because if I could produce 2 districts in 1 month, that would solve the problem of a couple $3,000 at the time. And so what I did is I went out and I talked to over 700 people in 19 days, and basically, business owners and managers, and they were expanding, looking for people, part-time, full-time. Somebody might want to run their own business. Who do you know it's looking? And that's one of the things that, when you go out to prospect, I don't get too much into that, but All of us came in because the timing was right. If it'd been another day or another month or another year, none of us would be here. So we got to get over ourselves. We got to keep saying the same. Get your part down and make sure you get with your upline, RVPs, whoever's mentoring you, and make sure you got your part down, your little 2-minute story and what you're, talking to people about. But once you got that done, you got to tell the same story over and over and over to a lot of different people, not find the same people, see if there's some other angle you can use. So anyway, I went out and got 12 personal recruits. Through them, I got 3 more that month, and that was in 19 days. So in 1 month, I had 15 recruits, 12 personal, 3 through them. The next month, I got 1 more that came in 2 weeks later off my efforts. Say, hey, you still doing that thing? Yeah, came in and signed him up. But that was only 1 personal, but I got 15 more through them. And that was kind of where the magic, when you get 15 warm market recruits through the hot markets of people out there, that's really where it takes off. So then it was the 16, the next month it was 26, 28, 35. So we had 120 recruits in 5 months, and we did 30 by 30, gave all that up, left that in North Carolina and moved to Maryland, started all over again. But the reality was, if you get that first 10, 12 recruits in place and get the ball rolling, where you get 15 warm market, digging through them and looking for people that want to go to district. Would you rather learn at 50% or 25%? I've been around some crazy, dumb people in 40 years here. I never had anybody say, tell me how the 25% works one more time. I mean, if you can double your pay, my other example is if you work at McDonald's and you're making $8 an hour and they tell you next Friday you can get paid $16 an hour, you just take this 3-day course, everybody's going to take it. Well, let's go to district. So I find people want to go to district. Who's the top 5? 3, we need 3 to get promoted, but 5 to 10 will be better. When I'm sitting down, I'm looking for their hottest market. And the way I frame that, and I've always framed that, is not necessarily the 5-pointers and all that. We're looking for that. But if I'm talking to Bill and I said, okay, your daughter-in-law, somebody vulnerable, could be his mother, it could be, back in the day, whatever. But I mean, whoever's vulnerable, and you're in Atlanta and they're in Dallas, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, you get the call and they say, we went out, had a few glasses of wine, and we broke down and we're in the wrong part of town. That's what they tell you at 4 in the morning. And after your first question of what the hell are you doing in that part of town? Well, the little lady, Siri, now tells everybody where to go in 100 yards. So they ran out of gas after Siri told them to turn 500 times, didn't know where they were. And the bottom line is, who's the first 5 people you're going to call to go get them? And the reason I do that is because if those are 5 people that are going to show up at the appointment. So when I made the run again to get 22 new RVPs since the IPO, and that happened in a little bit less than 7 years, but it was 5,000 appointments set up, and 4,000 of them held. The reason I had 4,000 of them hold is because it was the people who get up at 4 in the morning. Now, if they're not necessarily qualified or whatever, we dig through them and find who they know, because they are people who absolutely will give you names and cooperate with what we're doing here to help you in the business. So that's kind of the digging part. And then the 10, what's critical about the 10 is once you start getting 10, you get a couple people go to district. Well, if you're going to go to RVP and anybody's going to go to RVP, they need to be a double-digit recruiter. Because we say, I tell people they need 25 to 40 licensed people. I think the company says you need 7, but 25 to 40 licensed people in a base shop doing basically 1 sale a month, let's call it, 30 sales a month. And our models, all of us use, I'm sure when we're talking about comp, $1,000 in premium. So we do our 25 and 50 based on 1,000. So when I tell somebody 30 sales will pay you over 100,000 a year, all I'm talking about is a $30,000 base shop. I don't say, well, it's 30,000, then we get in advance, we do this. I don't get all that crap. I just say, through 5 or 10 people and their referrals, let's build 25 to 40 licensed people between that group. We can do that in 5 to 12 months while you're part-time. And we build that group. They do 30 sales a month. In our business model, you make a 6-figure income. And that's the truth. Now, the reality is to get 25 licensed people, you're probably going to have to recruit 150 based on the company numbers. And everybody's numbers are different, but they're not that much different. It's kind of in the 15 to 25%. I think it's 18 or 19, depending on when you ask of the company. But I mean, I'm not going to tell them they need 150 recruits. I'm just saying through 5 or 10 people, and it's my job to go dig through them. And then once I can get them buying into getting 10, and I get teams doing 10, the other part of the model is if you get 3 separate teams doing 10, you're going to be at 50 recruits. I know that sounds like 30, but everybody I know, John Lavin just went over 1,000 recruits the first time 2 months ago. And I said, John, how many double-digit recruiters? And he came back to me the next day. He goes, 61. I said, exactly. If you have 3, you get 50. You get 6, you get 100. You get 60, you get 1,000. It's just because there's a lot of people trying to do it, and they're not going to do it. And so at the end of the day, 3 separate teams doing 10, you're at 50. That puts you in solid RVP, possibly take a run or look at an SVP. You get 6 separate teams doing 10, that puts you at 100. Now you can look at NSD. 15 separate legs will put you at 250 a month, which puts you at SNSD numbers. And that's where the biggest comp, the biggest stock, everything, all the money comes at SNSD. And so the reality is just people buying into that. And just one question, Bill. I mean, who's on the Zoom? Is it pretty much full-timers or who?
Yes. Well, full-timers.
Okay, so I've done this all around North America and Canada, everywhere I've gone. When they say, now do the RVP meeting, Andy, break bad on them, talk some football stuff, and be real. And they don't really have to tell me that hard. But I mean, anyway, where I've gone all through Primerica, I say, okay, RVPs all stand up. Okay, now if you went to district in your first 90 days, stay up. And almost everybody's up. I said, if you went in the first 8 weeks, first 2 months, almost all of them up. And I said, how many 6 weeks? And what I found is that over 80% of all of our RVPs went to district in about 6-8 weeks. And so that's a statistic that's unbelievable. So if you're going to go build or you're going to go recruit, I'm talking about now, you're a head coach. Whoever I'm talking to, you're building your team, your region, whatever. You get ready to go to RVP, whatever. But you're a head coach. There's 2 kinds of coaches: coaches who have been fired and coaches who haven't been fired yet. You had Don Shula, just passed away, winningest coach in NFL history. Belichick's probably got 7 years to try and catch him. Winningest coach in NFL history, fired. Tom Landry, legend, Dallas Cowboys, fired. Both replaced by Jimmy Johnson, also fired. That's right. Jerry Jones, what an idiot, fired him too. I mean, it's 2 kinds of coaches. You're fired or you haven't been fired yet. And the only way you fix that is if you got players. And that's why recruiting is always the biggest thing. I don't care if it's the NFL. There's all the talking now that Bill Belichick, all of a sudden he recruited Cam Newton. What's he going to do? Well, I know a lot of people are talking about it because he can do something. But at the end of the day, that's our job. And so you're not going to get fired at Primerica. You're going to walk around with your hands in your pockets in June next year at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. And the reason you got your hands in your pockets because you have an RVP tag on, and they'll be looking for you to sign the book, and the book's for $100,000 earners, and they'll look for your hand, and your hands are in your pockets because you ain't got no ring. Okay, so the reality for us is we got to get players. So how many is that going to be? You know what? You start getting the multiples 10, and you get teams of 10, and that's how you multiply your efforts. It's not you go get 50 or you go get 10 for the next 20 years and all that crap. You dig through people to build what you're building here. So I don't know if that's a good stopping part for questions or whatever. All right, keep going. Whatever you want me to do, Bill.
Well, one of the things that I think I want to make sure people understand is what you just said. I remember we were sitting in some restaurant, and you told me that, and that how quick, if they don't do something pretty quick, they go back to that 20%, 80%, 20% thing.
Yeah.
That 80% of the RVPs that we have today went district in the first less than 8 weeks.
Right.
And the other thing you talked about is building through their markets, the hot markets, to make that happen. Do they go district, or do you work down through them enough where you create a district underneath them?
Okay, so 2 things. One is the 80%. To me, here's what's crazy. Since most of you are full-time going for RVP, you're already RVP, or talking about building something significant on this Zoom. I told some people in the company that we need to tell every new recruit that. Saying, you don't want to tell every recruit that because most of them aren't going to go to district. Matter of fact, here's the thing: 80% of the RVPs that are RVPs today, those people went to district fast. But somewhere closer to 20% or less are going to go to district and come in the front door. That's why you need to understand the Pareto principle, 20%, 80. On the other side, it's going to be 2 out of 8. And it's not going to be 2. It's not going to be 2 out of 10, excuse me. It's not going to be 2 out of 10 for you. Here's what's going to happen for a lot of you. It's going to be the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th out of the 20. It won't be even the 9th and the 10th one. You're probably going to go through 20, and then you get 4. But the numbers, the bigger they are, obviously easy to manage. You know that. Easy to predict, man in the mass. So at the end of the day, we got to know we got to keep the people coming through. Mike Sharpen, one of the greatest speeches I think I ever heard in Primerica since Art left, was last year at the Dome when he said, we don't develop people. Everybody's in this development, and we all got to develop. We've all developed. We've all gotten better. You want to get better. Everybody wants to get better. But at the end of the day, we find people. We don't develop. I mean, Lisa Jones on TV yesterday. I didn't develop Lisa Jones. So I'm going to take credit for anybody that's in my hierarchy who's doing great. I created an environment, showed them an opportunity. That's what Art Williams told us to do. They win or they lose based on what they do. And so we find people. And so what you got to understand, it's going to be the 2 out of the 10, which is why you need 10. You want 20, you better go get 100. Bob Turley told me when I went to RVP, he said, hey, big guy, congratulations on RVP. You know, Bob, for being such a guy, lived in an apartment with Vince Lombardi and Frank Gifford in the 50s in New York. I mean, hanging around with, I mean, are you kidding me? You know, he's the guy that was cover Sports Illustrated. Doris Day was his girlfriend, you know, for one winter time. You know, the story's just, hey, big guy, just real quiet. Hey, big guy, go get you 60 more districts. When I went to RVP, and I was like a golden retriever chasing a stick. I didn't know people didn't go get 60 districts. He said, go get them. And actually what happened is the next 18 months when I went to RVP, I got 18 more first, 18 more direct districts, and through them, so that's the second part of the question, built districts under them. And so that's where the magic comes in. And Don Faella in the 30-second napkin presentation, you know, he talks about the candle to the rear end instead of the blowtorch to the head. And the candle to the rear end is getting people where you got, the flanking is division leader is where I made my mark in the last 10 years with this new group of 22. Because what you do is you build it. So I get Bill, and Bill, he recruits, we recruit Carol. Well, I tell the same story to everybody. And then Carol goes and recruits Josh. Well, here now I've got 3 different. I got Bill, Carol, and Josh. I'm talking all about going to district. And I'm going to run with all of them in the early days. I mean, and I'm not looking to do the sales or any stuff. I want to get into, you know, how people do whatever. But I just wanted to get the wherewithal, the critical mass, the 5 or 10 recruits under them. And you get somebody 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 recruits. Robbie Hall, who's an SVP with me now, makes over 100,000. He had over 150 recruits his first 8 months. Peggy King, they're getting ready to go to SVP, just short of 300,000 cash. Another new direct here in Atlanta. They had over 180 recruits in their first 6 months. Bella Rubio had over 180 recruits her first 8 months. I'm talking about driving through, and I would say at least close to half of those appointments meeting with those new recruits, and the follow-up. Follow-up's critical too. I mean, would you rather learn a 50 or 25? And so I did as many appointments, because if you're an RVP and you're a leader, listen to me right now, you can go to the mall, you can go prospect, you can do whatever the hell people do. I did it one time too. I told you that. I don't ever want to do that again. The best place is a new recruit in their warm market. I mean, Art Williams 101. And so if you got their list, that first 5, 10, come pick somebody up first thing. And then what happened with those 3, I mentioned Robbie Hall, Bella Rubio, and Peggy King. Those 3, that was over 500 recruits that came through them in their first 6, 8 months at scattered times. But I was working with all of them. But all of them had 15 to 20 personal recruits. And so you're looking for who's that person underneath. So now I've got Bill going for district. Well, I got Carol going for district too, which is good because that can help Bill become a division. And he knows that. And then we got Josh under Carol. And I'm working with Josh, and Josh is going to be like, hey, he wants to go to district 2. Well, guess what? That's going to make Carol a division. So now you got division leader. So I call it division leader hell. I don't say that like in Primerica on a TV or whatever. I probably shouldn't even say it to you. But division leader hell is the greatest position in Primerica. There's district, division leader hell. I've had as many as 7 people flank at division. Now, what does a division have to do? They got to get 2 more districts. And they got to do premium. Now, I got it. But, I mean, they got to get 2 more districts. And once again, that's not my problem. They want to get the districts, so we're going to go help them find the districts. But that's the magic, flashpoint is getting all these people, kind of gummed up a division. Hey, get you 2 more districts. We'll get you a plan. And so that's kind of what happens with the overlapping. The other part is you've got to get people that are going to buy in. If they're not going to buy in, here's people say, well, who do you work with? It's real simple. And this is a little bit weird now because of Zoom world, but we'll go back to where it was before. But you got to count your Zoom attendance too. But I mean, people who come to meetings, bring people to meetings. So that'd be you're on Zoom, you're on that. Which Zoom? Every Zoom. Which meeting? Every meeting. And which Zoom do you have people on? Every Zoom. So I count you, how many people you got on the Zoom or at the meeting. And then if you put people in front of me, if you don't put people in front, I'm talking about warm market people in front of me. Robbie Hall, great story. SVP, just told you. I mean, great success story out of Atlanta. Got great people under him. They're making money and doing great things. But Robbie, one time I went over to an appointment with him, and we had 2 people lined up, and I sat down. We were in a restaurant at Cracker Barrel, I think. And I sit down and say the same thing I do all the time. So how Robbie, how y'all know each other? And the 2 ladies go, well, we met last night at IHOP. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm no body language. I'm just kind of, okay. IHOP. Yeah, we're servers over there. And he told us about the business here. And I said, great. I said, okay. And then before I could even say anything, the one lady goes, how much does the insurance cost? Well, apparently Robbie done a little, advanced preparation on the presentation too. And I grabbed my books and I said, hey, I got to get something out of my truck. I'll be right back. So I came back an hour and a half later, and Robbie said, he started smiling, Cheshire Cat. Well, I hired both of them. I said, that's awesome, Robbie. Great practice. And of course, this back in the day, it's like 4 or 5 years ago, back when, we didn't know about the money till later on. Now you know about the money right away. 2 days later, the money didn't go through. It's like, of course. But I taught him, and I'll teach all my guys, I'm not doing your cold market appointments. Not one, 0. You can practice on the cold. Maybe you have to do that. Lisa Jones didn't have a car. Lisa Jones out there crying, taking the bus. Okay, but here's the way it is. It's like a perfectly good dock up here. If somebody comes up, they don't have a solid market at all. They got a hole in their boat. The last thing you need to ever do is get in a boat with them. Yes, let's go and take the boat to the mall. You're both going. If my big butt gets in there, we're going down faster. Okay, so the reality is, you got to find people that are going to put good people in front of you, dig through and find more, gets that candle to the rear end, and that pressure that, hey, I got to keep going and find more districts.
And one of the things that always hit me is the math of Primerica, how incredibly accurate double-digit recruiting is. I would dare say that I got 100 people on this call, maybe 10 double-digited last month. And the other 90 it's in their heads one of these days, but they haven't made up their mind, haven't made up that decision. You said get people to buy in. When people buy in, magical things happen, don't they? To that 10, you got to get 10. That's where it starts.
And once they buy in, that tells you that they want to build something, they want to be something, they want to be full time here at some point. They want to become an RVP, and that's really what you're looking for. But even through all the other people they put in front of you, you never know which one's the one going to be. That's why you got to tell the same story over and over. So I say you see a product you like part time, make some great income, or through 5, 10 people, build 25 to 40, build that platform to build a business you could own. So whatever they're going to hear, I'm going to lay it out there, but I'm always looking for the one that wants to build that platform, and they're out there. And you don't need a lot of them, but you got to make the decision to double-digit recruit first. The reality I already said, as a football coach, if you don't have players, you're done. So in our game, if you think, well, I'm the best player, that's one of the challenges we have at Primerica. We have people who can make $1 million a year, and they don't have a team. That's okay, but that also means you're playing the game on. You're Rambo. Hopefully you got enough, ammunition and enough guns or whatever other crap you're going to use to fight the war by yourself. But that's not what I bought into when I came into A.L. Williams. I bought into to be able to build something to become financially independent and help other people do the same thing. And so we got people that on their own pen. They may, make $1 million. Yeah, 300,000 puts you in ownership. We got a bunch of people with 300,000 cash flow, and they've always got to continue, moving back and forth and doing what they do. I want a business. I was telling our guys the other day, basically where I'm tracking right now, and I got a couple other codes I've got that I get paid on, but I was telling them I make about $16 a minute if you figure on a regular schedule. What's the value of your time? We had 3 base shops in our breakfast club do 100 recruits last month. Belda Rubio, she'll go over 150 today. So for the month end, she's another first generation, but three separate teams doing 10. But my hierarchy last month, we did 3,327. So I told them, I know you're, so I'm in the breakfast club, and I'm like, I know y'all excited. You busted it, came through, and, a last minute, midnight oil, had contests with how you fired up, little raffles, all the crap you did. Got a little trip or whatever y'all do, going to dinner, 100 recruits. But, my business recruited 100 every day. I mean, I went to bed, and I woke up again, and there's another 100 recruits. Went to bed the next day, and woke up, there's another 100 recruits. That's what I want. J. Paul Getty, man, I want the efforts of 100 people, not one person. And that's why I tell people, especially in Primerica, the lull to sleep on making so much money. And there's people, and they got a loud voice. So not only the loud voice, but it's just a problem. I go on my soapbox here, but it's the problem in America today. I mean, you got the media and social media. Well, guess what? That's at Primerica too. You got POL, PFN, and social media. And that crap can drive you crazy. Nothing changes. And really, that circle of champions thing, if you go build 8, not 9, I know guys that built 9 first, and they're here 20, 30, 40 years. I'm here 40 years. I mean, I know guys that 9 or 10 or 12. Well, if you just got 18 and doubled it, like we said in football, go through the man to the ball. You go tackling. Don't run up and say, now I'm going to prepare to wrap my arms around your tackle. That dude's going to juke you and be gone. You got to go through and pick a point behind him. So that was the whole idea. And I went to Glenn 5 years ago, and it took 3 years to get it instituted. But tell people to get 18 first. They can ride that for 20, 30 years. Because, I mean, and then another, it's funny to me, somebody asked me, well, what? It was Robbie, my SVP. I said, the reason you want 18 or 27 or more, I said, because they're going to leave. He goes, where are they going? I said, how old are you, Robbie? He goes, well, I'm 47. I said, well, I've been here 40 years. How old are you in 40 years? What's your 10-year plan? And now Jenny Carter had a 10-year plan when she was, just 80 years old, or now you get ready to make another one when she was 90. But not like a plan like you got to do to work big here. Get the daggone thing done, which is why you want to go and become a double-digit recruiter, make the decision to get big. A couple of things I look at, and this is just me talking, okay? So you say I'm full of crap, and if you want to say I'm full of crap, get in line. It's like 2 miles long. It's right outside my door here. You can't come up and tell me I'm full of crap. I mean, you got to get in line. So here's my other thing. Who's getting elected in November? What's the regulations going to look like in 2 years? What if the regulations, like they're trying to get everybody to get a Series 65 and sell a $25 mutual fund? I'm not trying to scare people. We're living in a crazy-ass world right now. And I'm being real nice and gentle and generous by saying that. I mean, it's crazy. There's crap going on right now that most of us in our lifetime never can. Like, you talk to Bill Orender is smart, wide wisdom, but you're looking at crap now. It's like, I don't know. I mean, you want to ask me what's going on with COVID? I'll check in 3 days. I got no idea. And a lot of y'all in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. And so, we're in a different world right now. Who's to say that we're always going to be able to go recruit everybody we want anyway? Maybe we get to a certain point and they say, well, we're really more of a broker for that, because there's a bunch of people in Primerica who would love us to just be the professional little store on the corner doing what we do, which is fine. I just want 500 of them. I don't want to be that guy. I want to do 500 of them. So I hope somehow that resonates on the mindset of why, if right now, because even let's say there's an election, well, they ain't going to do nothing for 18 months. Anyway. I'm thinking you got like 2 years right now to run like a serious A.L. Williams, run up the score, recruit, build something big. And I don't know what happens after that. The world's changed, and it's changing. And so I don't, what is Zoom world? I don't know. We're going to find out. There's kind of a BS factor on Zoom world. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it's like 2 or 3%. It might be 20%. It might depend on the person. All I'm saying is we're in uncharted waters here. But the one thing that's not going to change is if you have a big business with lots of overlapping layers of people. I told somebody last month in my hierarchy, I had 72 base shops. And we had 3 or 4 did 190 and 80 and 70 and 60. We had a couple handfuls of those. That's great. But we had 72 base shops do between 10,000 and 40,000. And that was 1.4 million in premium. We did like 2.3 million, but 1.4 million was 72 people doing 10, and almost all of them have a $100,000 ring on. Man, I'll take that crap. I'd like to have another 72. They're thinking 144 doing 10,000 to 40,000. I believe you really got an opportunity to do that now. And I'm not saying, I hope I'm wrong. But I think the way things are going out there right now, I wouldn't guarantee it. I guarantee if you had a bunch of people in place, you're in good shape. But I don't know how you're going to get people in that kind of situation. You're going to go get a bunch of people, especially when it's only 2 out of 10. Those are the numbers. And you might think you're going to beat them. Well, when you figure it out, let me and Bill and everybody else know. We'll run that play too. But I'm just saying right now, I just see this as an opportunity. You want to get big. You want to build something like A.L. Williams, like the Great Apes, the people original, with the Orenders and the Carters and Bob Turley and Safford Sharp, all those guys built, Mike Tuttle. Yeah, hey, you better do that now, is my opinion.
Andy, about I don't know, it was last year or 2 years ago at the national convention, you got on stage and showed the 3x3x3x3, and it was silence. People were stunned at a national. We even talked about 3x3x3, and so in my mind, you are the last of the people who believe in the Art Williams way multiplying your efforts and having hundreds and thousands of RVPs, not just you just need 3 to make a million. Talk about that, Andy, and how that is so ingrained in you that people need to learn the system that you learned through Wydell and Turley and Art to have this.
Well, I can tell you, whoever's on this Zoom, you're looking at that guy, not the guy in the yellow shirt, the one in the blue or purple shirt, whatever that is, Bill. I can't tell, but I'm getting old. But you're talking to two people that can tell you how to do it, not because we're some, some that gum, genius, whatever. We learned from Art. This is what Art did. And the whole 3 by 3 by 3, that's it. Hey, you got to have 3, 5, or 10. I tell them 3, 5, or 10 would be better because if they got 5 or 10, that's better. But 3 is critical because nobody gets promoted on 3. So everybody goes and gets 3. And what that does, and here's the challenge. People say, well, what if you think they're going to say, I'm not going to look at anybody and think, I wonder if this guy's a sale or if he wants, maybe he could. You want to build, it's totally the 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3. And if you don't do every presentation aiming for the recruit first, because if you don't do that, you're going to miss it. If people think this is just insurance, and the reason they say that to you is because that's what you talk about. They think it's investing money. That's you talk about that. I get off on. I don't go into any of that too heavily. I talk about how hey, there are products. I go through that. I talk about 85% of widows lose their home. I talk about you already hear that story. GoFundMe, Scouts, church, everybody's raising money. The guy doesn't come home. It's a terrible, horrible story. We fix that. Several. I go through all that stuff. But my main focus after I've gone through that, and then the harvesting part, which I think is critical, is and you can use this now. I mean, so after 08, you had the bank crisis. So no bank too big to fail. Mortgage, anybody in the mortgage business, including our guys, I mean, they got annihilated. You had the mortgage business. They were making hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars. That went away. And funny thing, just like what I'm talking about the next 2 or 3 years, it got regulated to a safe place inside of the banks. Are you kidding me? Yeah, we're going to let the banks. Where's that? Yeah, they'll take care of everything. You just lock everything in there. Are you kidding me? Well, that's what happens. And so mortgages, if you were flipping houses, real estate, landscaping, I don't care, concrete, nails, shingles, lumber, you're doing that stuff, man, you were rolling, And then Katrina hit a couple of years before that. So people got displaced in your area, in Atlanta, different places. Then the personal stuff, separation, divorce, death in the family, serious illness, accident. I say it on every appointment. So the thing is, when old expressions, we're poor, didn't know we were poor. We play in the dirt, drink out of the hose, play kick the can, hide and seek, tag, little games don't cost any money. We're just happy, ignorant people playing in the dirt. Then one day we find out there's better beaches in some lake over near Dallas or, the Redneck Riviera, Panama City, whatever. I mean, you find out there's actually nice beaches. There's cruises you can go on. You go to Hawaii. You go to Europe. Find out there's other ski resorts besides some hill in Pennsylvania or North Carolina, and you can go out to Colorado. You take the kids to Disney, everything crashes, and now you're clipping a coupon at the grocery store, take them to Six Flags, and the kid wants to know where did Mickey Mouse go because they got downsized. And what I'm telling you guys right now is this one's worse than that one. There's at least, in my opinion, especially in the service industry, I'm talking about hotels, airlines, transportation, restaurants. I guarantee you there's 20, 30% of restaurants that are never coming back in business. I mean, you're going to have millions of people displaced now. And all I'm saying is, so you went from a bigger house, smaller house you owned a rental house. The old expression reported, no report. Now you're downsized, live in your mother-in-law's basement. And then people say to me, yeah, that happened to me. That's magic to me. When I'm doing my presentation, I stop right there. Bill, what happened? Well, Carol lost her job and then they, furloughed me. And well, then we moved in my in-laws' house. We lived in the basement. And I'm just a curious guy. I mean, don't be a jerk with this. So it's like, really? So what's that like? And that's where he pulls out the gun, puts all 6 bullets in. It's like, he has people downsize anything. Not going to be happy about that crap. But I wait till they've thrown up all down the front of their shirt. Hopefully it's a sweater. It sticks out there. It's crusty, whatever. Tell me. Just ask questions and get curious. And now if they want to go do something about it, well, let's go. There's going to be more people in play in that situation in the next 6, 8 months and year than there's ever been in the history of this country. And we're right there. And a lot of you aren't even going to go harvest. And it's not even whether it's you or me or Bill. Who do you know that went from bigger house, smaller house? Who do you know? Who do you know? And I'm telling you guys, way better than the old prospect. You start asking people, and there's a few of them still lulled to sleep thinking somehow if they get done sucking their thumb and maybe another stimulus checks or whatever comes in or whatever they're thinking, that crap's going to end. I'm just telling you, we got an unbelievable open market of big opportunity out there for people who want their stuff back, and there's no place for them to go.
And you built your business on these crises, didn't you, Andy? I mean, the crisis after crisis after crisis, that's what we saw the surge. And that's what people don't understand. This isn't another crisis. This is the crisis of crises that you've not
Right.
never seen in our life, and how we've got to step on it. And this double-digit recruiting is the first step. If you're not double-digit recruiting, you don't get it. You're putzing around with this thing, and you're never going to excel. You're never going to get to new levels, no matter how bad you think you want it, right?
Yeah, the thing is, if you don't buy into double-digit recruiting, you're not going to create any double-digit recruiters, which means you're not going to get to 30, 50, 80, 100, 200. You're not going to get those multiples. It's not that complicated. I mean, I said 15 separate legs, getting 10 recruits a month. That puts you at 250. That's SNSD territory, man. You're going to have RVPs popping out of that, because that's what's going to happen with those kind of numbers. And so if you don't embrace the numbers, and if you don't understand what we're going, it's like the early 80s, we had a big mess then. I mean, Bill, we had interest. I remember our ADS when they finally came in with ADS. But I mean, I think the interest rates on the first one were like 21% an annuity. I mean, the interest rates. Right. I remember GMAC Finance, GMAC Finance. You go buy, I bought a Delta 88, 12.88 financing. You're never going to find an interest rate that low again. That was 1982. So we had a crisis then. And then after the 08 crisis, 2010, that's when we did the IPO. And that's when I said, I'm going to go build 22 new RVPs. I believe that if I did the effort I did, and I'm a guy, I only work, I promise you, 3 days a week since the IPO. And I didn't do it all the time. I had some surgeries in there, some other things going on. But death and destruction, my sister, my dad, I mean, this stuff happened. When I worked about 3 days a week doing what I told you, built 22 RVPs. I believe if I did that in the next 7 years, work 3 days a week, I'd build 80 RVP, 4 times bigger, because that's the kind of pool that it's like fishing. I'm telling you, there's 4 times as many big fish out there. And they don't all have to be big fish, but they don't want to be big fish, So, I mean, I think this is the greatest opportunity ever, but you got to decide to do the work. And if you're not going to get at least 10 a month and get other people buying the 10, you're not going to have the multiples pop. How's that start with 3? We need 3. I tell everybody 3. You rather get paid at 50 or 25? Good. We need 3. 5 or 10 would be better. But 3 is good.
Yeah, like as one politician said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Yeah. But the reality is that when we had our greatest movements I want people to listen for a second. You're recruiting 100 people a day effortlessly in your business. And that means that how many, if one RVP out of a person goes RVP out of 100, you're creating 30 RVPs a month eventually.
Exactly.
That's mind-boggling, but that's the mindset you think. Bo Adams taught me, comment on this, it doesn't pay to think big, but it costs you everything to think small. And I know Bob Turley was really a big thinker in your life. And how do you help people think big, Andy? I like the numbers you give out to your RVPs. How do you get people to think bigger than they're thinking now?
Well, one of the things is Turley telling me, okay, you went to RVP, congratulations. Well, go get 60 more districts. Okay, so I did it like a golden retriever, chasing the sticks, slobber all over myself. Okay, I got 60 more in 18 months. Well, 3 years later, I had 80 RVPs. Well, where do RVPs come from? From districts. And a lot of people followed my lead. They didn't necessarily do what I did. A couple of them did. Most of them didn't, but they do 1, 2, 3. Man, you got districts popping in. You're going to have RVPs. That's where RVPs come from. If they go to district quick, that's really where they come from. So you really got to, I look at this like one story I use on this is the red car effect. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger on the motorcycle when he's going in the Terminator, the original one. He's driving down. He's a machine, but he's looking for one thing: Sarah Connor. Now, which Sarah Connor that's going through his little list in his computer brain? Which Sarah Connor is he going to kill? Every single one of them. So what I look at is I'm looking for people who can go to district quick, like Sarah Connor. And so if I told all of you watching on the Zoom, how many, if you drove today or any day you drive, let's say you drive 30 miles, how many red cars did you see today? You're like, with a gun to your head, you have no idea. But if I told you, come back to me and give me a snapshot from your phone of every red car that you see in the next 24 hours, you'd be a red car seeing fool. Now, the reality is you'd see way more white, black, green, every other color car other than red, but you wouldn't see them. It's the whole reticular activator. You'd be looking for the red cars. Hey, there's a Mercedes there. Is it red? You see that Bentley? See that Rolls Royce? Is it red? The Lamborghini, red? It's not red. I don't care what it is. And so you got to get that in your mind. You're looking for people that can go to district quick. And those are people are going to put the people in front of you quickly. 3, 5, or 10 will be better. Let's get them these appointments and keep going and driving them and the people in their markets. And so when it comes down to the business model of getting people in place and buying in, Larry Weidel, one of the things he told me was, hey, you know, I'll do something great. And when I moved to Maryland, gave up 30 by 30. I go to Maryland, starting. Bill was up there, the Armory place. I mean, I went back and looked at that place, Bill. It's so tiny. We thought it was the biggest palace ever, you know. But we're doing these little fast start schools up there in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I had T-shirts that said, Young Region, Maryland's #1 RVP factory. First one we went to. And we had 18 of us. Well, first off, I'm not a region because I was a regional leader. So I wasn't Young Region. I was really under somebody else. And then so Young Region. But I'm not an RVP factory. I can't promote RVPs unless I'm an RVP. So that shirt had two, you know, wasn't quite there. But we did become Maryland's #1 RVP factory. And so Weidel told me, you put 500 people in a room, I'll come see you. Now today in our candy ass, everybody gets a trophy, pat on the back, hug, juice box, snack, and attaboy for whatever the crap you did. Because even though you didn't catch the ball, you were out there and you tried, whatever all this is today. I mean, today you could probably go to conflict resolution or some family court or whatever they call it in the home office and turn Weidel in for being a horrible upline for telling me I got to put 500 people in a room for him to come 300 miles to do a meeting for me. My upline doesn't help me. Here's why I'm pissed at Weidel. Because in 100 days from scratch, I put 500 people in the room. If he'd have told me 1,000, I'd have been twice as big. Can you imagine he did that to me? Now, a lot of people go, oh, my God, 500. Well, you know, so that's what Bill just said, Bo Adams. You know what a dream on the front end, the cost of a dream on the front end is nothing. It's like we're going to be Maryland's #1 RVP factory. Well, now I look, we got over 80 RVPs in Maryland. And that, you know, that's just one of our states. That was a regional leader, a kid with, you know, having a vision. The vision on the front end cost. I had so many people laugh at me. But on the back end where the vision cost you because you didn't think big enough and you should have thought bigger. And now you're looking back, you know, I even had people in my family go, man, I should have had bigger goals. Well, I knew that. And I told them as often as I could, but I mean, crap. I mean, what are you going to do about that? And if you think about it, I mean, you got to have big goals. You got to have a big vision. You got to sell it with people. And people laugh at you. And I did this at the Dome. When Bruce Kalk and Frank Dillon and Ron Smith Jr., when the three of them and myself, so 4 of us over $1 million a year income, it all happened like right before the convention. So I said, we got 4, and I said it there. I said, and one day I'm going to stand on this stage, and we're going to have double-digit $1 million earners. And I said, here's what I want everybody to do. I want you to laugh at me right now. I've got the tape of this one. Laugh. I want everybody. I said, look at this. It's fit. Now laugh real hard, like a belly laugh. Laugh. This big old laughter. Slap your knee, whatever. Now I've had 50,000. I have more people laugh at me all at the same time than any time anybody laughed at you. But I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And we're not far away from that happening right now. Well, okay, it took a few years. Crap, people talk about making $1 million. How about double-digit $1 million earners? And so, you know, you got to make that decision. But hey, Bo Adams, Bill Orender, and I would say this too. You guys got Bill Orender, and I hate it so much because you don't even know what you got. And unfortunately, it's the old Joni Mitchell song. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I mean, and I told Orender this a few times because people laugh at us and, oh, you can go to NSD. You go to $1 million in income with 3 RVPs. You can go and make this. I got all that. I'm talking about getting. Hey, not only me for now. I'm at the, I don't know, the fall, the autumn, the winter time of my career. I mean, I'm not at the springtime. Not 40 years in, but I'm thinking about little Andy. You know, and I got another they got a granddaughter coming with Rob and Amy. It's like all of a sudden they didn't have grandkids. Now I got 4. You know, it's like popcorn. I'm thinking about the next 40 years. I mean, I didn't want to hand over to Rob and Amy, taking over my business, a list of, you know, good places to eat near hospitals and funeral homes. Where to buy flowers, you know, at a good rate and get a good wreath for someone. I mean, because that's what the crap was going to happen. I mean, it was 15 years ago. Somebody told me, you ever had an RVP quit? And I said, hell, I had over 30 of them die. I mean, you get a couple hundred of them and you just do some time. I mean, so what do you want to build? If you want to do it, you've got to address the multiple. So I told Bill, you know, a few years back, I said, I know people think we're full of crap. A.L. Williams, Art don't know what he's talking about. I guarantee you, if you can run this play in the next couple of years the A.L. Williams way, and you got the master I'm looking at on my screen like you are, Bill Orender there. Hopefully you're looking at him, not me. Otherwise you probably won't eat lunch. But Bill, you got the guy already. Crap. Understand what you got and run it. And if you do for the next 2-3 years, your family can be wealthy for generations. I swear to you. And that's part of my play. So I'm out doing. I got an appointment to go on right after this. I mean, I'm looking for another like Arnold Schwarzenegger, another district, and maybe can win RVP.
Well, Andy, we appreciate you so much. End on this, if you would. What's the biggest thing you got from Art Williams, and why do we have to go back to the A.L. Williams way? I heard this the other day, and I liked it. There's a right way and the wrong way. There's your way and my way, and then there's Art's way. And if we don't go back to Art Williams' way, we're always going to be stuck in mud and wonder what's wrong, right? So talk about that, and that'll be the last we'll hear. What you get from Art Williams and why have you committed to his way?
Yeah, I committed to his way and stayed that way and never bought into the Tom Hopkins and all the other stuff. I mean, I never bought into it. Bill, I'm going to call him the SOB right here on this call. He put me at his dining room table next to Tom Hopkins one day. I still owe you for that one. I owe you for that one, Bill. But and that was all right. I'm just saying. But the reality is I always bought into Art. And here's the thing I knew from playing football and playing at a pretty high level, you know, I got my butt kicked in, you know, in front of 100,000 people in Ann Arbor. I mean, so you know, I've been in, matter of fact, a couple of guys on the $1 Million Earner bus going to the Dome last year, they were looking and said, Jerry Beyer looked at me, who'd ever thought that, you know, you'd be in a police escort in a beautiful bus like this, going underneath the stadium to the locker room. Who'd ever think you'd ever do that? And I said, well, actually, Jerry, when I joined A.L. Williams, that's the only way I ever went to a stadium was with a police escort and a nice bus underneath the locker room. And so my mindset was you be a great team player. You become a great player, and then you learn from the coach. And even when Art left, my business got 4 times bigger because all that meant is I had to go be Art. And all I did was run Art's play. People ask me, why, you know, many times, so why do you do the 3-day school? I said, well, that's what Art did. And it's amazing to me how people go, yeah, but why? I'm like, I just told you that's what Art did. What's open for discussion here? And Art, for all the simplicity, I would say this: it's submitting to the numbers it's going to take to do the job. The do it speech. Everybody loves talking. When how's Lane selling? We'll sell it anyway. Well, how's everything in my company? Yeah, you really got to. Everybody loves to chime in for all that crap. Let's go back to the first line of the do it speech. And Art says, right there, it says, it takes a certain kind of mental toughness to win in business. We like to just, you know, slough over that one. Well, the mental toughness is you going out and doing it. Figuring out how to buy the awards when you ain't got money for it. I remember buying 21 money clips for $1 each with the logo on it back in 1982 or 3, whatever. I'm selling, we're going to build all these RVPs. I ain't got no money. I'm driving a 15-year-old car, sleeping on my mom's sofa. Larry Weidel came up and did that meeting for 500 people. He said, I'll just stay at your house. I said, no, it'd be better if we stay at the airport. No, I'll get you a hotel, you know. And 5 years later, I told him I didn't have a house. He even said he'd sleep on the sofa. And I'm like, I'm sleeping on the sofa. You ain't sleeping on the sofa. I didn't say all that then. Too many people tell their story, all the crap they're going through. I told that story 5 years later. You're never going to give an MVP speech or be a keynote speaker, closing speaker like Bill Orender, the greatest one of all time, if you're bitching about all the crap you're going through while you're going through it. Those are great stories down the road. And so Art sold it big. Art sold that, you know, the reason for a base shop is to build RVPs, to build your wealth, stone cold wealthy. I bought into that. And a couple other things, mentally tough, but that doesn't mean mean. You got to be nice. Understand everybody's like 3rd grade, 8 years old. They got a sign says, you know, make me feel special. Say something nice about me. and some of them got flashing signs that say, make me feel really special. Fine. Okay. And if you need gratitude from human beings, go get a dog. They'll always be happy to see you. You're real needy, go get 2 of them. I don't care if you yell at them, they'll still come around thinking something's going to hit the floor. So at the end of the day, I mean, and artwilliamsbest.com, I mean, I got most of our guys, I mean, hopefully they're all on it. I don't know. We get a video every week. They got all that stuff coming out. It's a treasure. It's not something that costs on these $20 a year. It's insane. But it's like to not know word for word so if you put with Bill Orender and me, we could play a game. What would Art do in this situation? We would ace that test all the way across the board. And I would just challenge all of y'all. The stuff's out there. Study it. You got Bill Orender, a damn treasure. Go and understand what it takes to build a big business. Do it the right way, and it's unlimited to what you can deliver for your family.
Andy, thank you very much. We're going to send you a copy of all the little blurbs people have been sending while you've been speaking, and they are powerful. You know this. You're not going to get the truth from anybody but someone like yourself that has been out there, fought the fight, built it, created it, and there's no fluff in it.
Right.
Either we buckle down and submit to it, or we're going to be wake up one day and say we were lied to. We're not being lied here to. So, Andy, thank you very much. You're a treasure, like all of us think you are. Please
Thanks
do this
so much,
again,
Bill.
okay?
All right, thanks, Bill. Thanks for everything.
All right, we had a record crowd on tonight to watch you.
All right, well, that's great.
Take care.
All right, take care. We'll see
Bye,
you.
everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.